to blast off.
You're now watching Two Old Farts Making Noises.
Joe, do you know why some businesses succeed and some businesses fail? Why some businesses grow and some businesses don't? That's what this show is all about. Business, business, business.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Lost Dollar Business Club. I'm Michael Maturo, and you've got Stephen and David Oldfart back on the show with us.
Brother
Hi,
and sister.
Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mother and father. Who knows?
There you go.
Who
All I
read
know
the book?
is,
Action.
all I know is greed is good. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, greed is good. It sounds
What
like
are we talking about today?
it sounds like that's what a lot of companies are saying apparently, because
Really like it.
there was an article in Fortune on greedflation, but we'll talk about the metaverse on this show, because there's a lot of talk about how the metaverse has lost a lot of traction. I think we've seen that in the NFT space. But first, we'll talk again about some of the new developments in artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and how that impacts the labor market, and how maybe it's already doing that already. Get the freedom and the flexibility of remote work in the lucrative tech industry. Bend your life around the world. Bendicoot is the premier course and community for thriving in a remote tech career. Join the revolution today. Bendicoot.com, official partner of the Lost Dollar Business Club. All right. Yeah, we're back. Thank you for that, David. All right. So gentlemen, welcome back to the show. So AI is just dominating the conversations. David shared with us what CEOs talked about recently in the first quarter of this year. And number one topic was AI and ChatGPT. So what's going on there, gentlemen? What's going on?
We can get rid of people. Thank God I hate people. So it's just going to be computers that don't do anything. So when I call a customer service number now, I can swear as much as I want because it's still not going to help me. So I'm very excited that I get to talk to some artificial intelligence that has no clue. No, I think what's happening is
rogue.
Well, no, here's what I think is going to happen. Here's my opinion. I think guys like me and CEOs, well, okay, I'm a CEO. Who knew?
Yeah.
We like this because inherently people are stupid. Full stop. Don't care if you have a PhD or you have no degree. People are stupid. And if I can get a computer to do your job, it's like Michael Eisner said on Lion King, I don't have to pay profits to a cartoon. So I don't have to pay you $100,000 or $200,000 a year, and I can have you do the work better or 90%, and I can have like one person correct it, and it costs me $5 million a year less all day long. It's no different than when they retooled. It's no different than when they retooled Detroit or BMW or any other car places where they got rid of the people and they brought in machinery. Now, granted, Rolls-Royce uses people still, and so does Morgan and a few of the other cars. But for the most part,
they paid for that.
Right. Bugatti uses people. I mean, like, $3 million, right? So that's it.
What do you think is pushing this forward then? Is this really, we love the technology is going to help us? Or, hey, look, at the bottom line here, we can rip out a whole load of people who, because the AI is never going to get sick, it's never going to go on holiday, never gets a headache, never gets a hangover. So what do you think is really driving it at the moment? Because it seems to be flavor of the month. So I'm interested in your opinion.
I think everything. I think it's a full circle. I think A is everything you just said. It's never going to get sick. It's never going to do this. And granted, it's going to take over the world and be Terminator, and we're all going to die. But if you push that to the side and you look at the positives, I think it's just that it can do and think and not make mistakes and quicker and blah, 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 blah. I think when you look at that long term, and I don't have to buy healthcare, I don't have to worry about getting sued.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry. I mean, like, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I have nothing to worry about because
Well, you
my
you
artificial
may
intelligence.
get sued though. That's just it. So who? Yeah, but
Our AI is not going to sue me. Well, it
No,
could
no,
sue me because it could sue me.
exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
well,
that's
because
never
it's
mind.
phone now, yeah.
Because I need more electricity from you, Stephen. Give me more juice.
Can I tell you? The wife says that every night. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it still doesn't work. But
There you go.
so what happens then if the AI does something which is not particularly PC, and you get sued? Who picks up that bill? Because
we have to. But here's what's funny: we use a big insurance company, and like we have our cyber insurance, we have this insurance, we have that. But no one, like, I even asked, like, do we need insurance for AI? They don't really have insurance yet for AI. You know what I mean? It's like so. What happens now? I know that there was a lawyer somewhere that was fighting that AI, if it writes a book or paints a painting, does it own the intellectual property? So they're going now trying to make AI an entity. So that's interesting. So, but if I say something derogatory to my AI, is it going to literally then reach out to a law firm saying that my human overlord said something nasty to me, called me a stupid machine? I'm suing him because it hurt my feelings? Probably not. You know what I mean? So, and so I think employers are looking at this is another way to cut costs. What the bad side of all this is, now you're going to have more people that don't have jobs, and you're going to have more people, like we talked about last week. Goldman Sachs had 300 million people by 2030. So we have to retrain them. And there was an article last night in the FT talking about artisans at Hermes and Louis Vuitton. There's no more trade schools. Like the guy said, he said, the people who make a handbag for Hermes, they could spend up to 15 to 40 hours making one handbag. Okay, so there's nobody teaching them how to craft, right? Because nobody wants to work. So, okay, let's get to the universal income. Let's call it a day. Let everyone make whatever they need to make.
Even when you get to that point, when you get to that point, though, you've lost the skills, you've lost the knowledge of this lineage of learning.
Yep.
But do you need that? Do you know how? Is it important to the world we live in that you know how to make a handbag?
Yes.
I think on the whole, as
why?
part of
Why is it important?
Human culture. I think it's part of human culture to have these lineages.
I think if you asked any caveman, he'd probably say, "Yeah, I just like sitting by the fire, eating, grunting, farting, and enjoying life." And so why would you want to go to work if you've got something out there doing all the work for you? And you get a universal income.
I disagree with that, and here's why. I think the cavemen, and let's not put them down because we really weren't there. I mean, I was there; they were very nice. They hung out. But back in the day, they still would kill an animal, and they would still make, if you will, clothes. They would still make a pouch. They would still make because they find this on their archaeology, right? So they still did. So they had their own version of an artisan. So
but was it not out of necessity, Stephen? Because if the caveman had the opportunity to get a robot to do it for him,
right?
Sure, he's gonna choose the robot. Say, Mr. Robot,
here you go. Let me ask you this:
all the clothing.
DIY. People do DIY all day long. They don't have to. They can buy it, but they want to do it themselves. Somebody says, "I'm gonna," instead of going and getting a picture frame made.
The irony of that, of course, is all the tools that they can buy in the DIY shop and all the materials have all been made by robots and sewn by robots and put together by robots, industrial robots. So I just think if there's enough money and you have a universal income, everybody has why would we work if we have machines to do it?
How does that shape the economy, though, from an economic
standpoint? Well, who cares? Who cares?
It's the Hunger Games. It's going to be like the Hunger. You're going to have the well-to-do, the top 1%, all 6 of them over here. You have everybody else over here, and at some point, it's going to, like the Beatles said, it's going to be a revolution. So unless you're going to make everybody almost equal, where like everyone gets, I'm making up a number, $5 million a year, because it's all play money at this point, right? It's no big deal, and the governments all get along.
That's true.
And you clean up the slums, and everybody lives in a nice, say, 3,000 to 5,000 square foot, whether they want a house or a condo with the lawn and the dog and a fence and blah blah blah. If everybody has everything, you're still going to have people that aren't going to be happy now. Then you're going to get people like, I can make something better. Okay, then you make something better. So if you make something better, then you go from this utopia to a better utopia. You know, Mars is a good place for that. But so that's kind of, I think, what you have to do. But if not, it's going to get to a point where you really are going to have, like, you know, the revolution, because people are going to be like, I can't afford to do this. And you have that now. They can't afford to do this. They can't do.
They're talking about in the greedflation conversation. They talked about that in that Fortune article. Is that maybe at some point, maybe sooner than we think, there is going to be some sort of social unrest. And
absolutely,
saw the unrest in Paris as a result of even trying to change the retirement.
Listen, first of all,
they're French. That's the French.
They're French. We don't care what the French do.
It's part of their culture, you know.
The French are upset because the retirement age went from 60 to 62. So hey, but
and let me tell you that the retirement age in the Netherlands, where I am, is 67.
Right. Well, in the United States, it's 100.
Yeah, the U.S. you don't retire, right?
Yeah, it's 100.
So when you talk about, you know, having an equal and a level playing field in Europe, and I think it just doesn't exist. And I think in Greece it was 56 or 58 or something. I mean, there's arguments for people who have physical jobs. You know, I mean, if you're putting down paving slabs and heavy manual work, there's an argument that they should retire earlier.
Yeah, but now you've got people training GPT and other artificial intelligence platforms to actually do physical work, which Microsoft is doing a lot of work on. How do you get a robot? How do you get these intelligent brains essentially to control physical things, physical robots?
Yeah, I've seen these bricklaying machines where literally the only manual aspect of it is that they have to load large pallets of bricks in, and then they cut the package banding. Don't know what it is in English. Can't remember. Brain's gone. And release the bricks, and they literally just continue to lay walls. Well, I mean, there's just so why would you need a bricklayer?
In terms of retooling people, and you know that. So I remember earlier in March last month, it's called NetDragon WebSoft. It's a software mobile development software company in China. They named, in some way, they're using AI as their CEO, which shows that even at the highest levels of decision making, they're using AI, and their stock is going up and up. They're using AI to make executive decisions. So
that's what I should be doing, and then I won't have to listen to Stephen then.
Wow, that is really just so we're clear.
NetDragon WebSoft. But the thing is, in terms of retooling,
sign me up.
Yeah, right. Well, in terms of retooling people, I found two great places that I've been keeping an eye on in terms of how people are using AI in the tool making space, which is a very human thing to do. How are we going to use the AI to do something useful? There are thousands of tools on, it's called AI Library, which is on Phygital, PHYGITAL.plus, Phygital.plus. So that's an AI library. And the other one that I've been looking at is Futurepedia, Futurepedia.io, and that's another AI tools directory. And the activity that's happening on that, I think, is really valuable for our listeners to at least keep an eye on, because if we're going to have to retool ourselves to stay relevant, this is a good place to see what that means, even to be relevant, if that's even possible one day.
Yeah, so we have to retool. So the AI is offering us tools to retool ourselves against the AI.
Right.
That's basically where we're going to.
So if this isn't Skynet and the Terminator, nothing is, guys. This is HAL 2000. This is awesome. I'm Space Odyssey 2000. Here we come. This is going to be cool. I just want the AI. David and I spoke about this the other day. I want the AI that I can actually speak to, that speaks back to me in complete sentences and has its own thought, because then I could be like, here's what I think. What do you think? And I want to know its feedback by when it goes through the universe. Typing stuff is still too cavemanish for me. Just so we're clear, I am not a caveman.
Oh, so all those rumors are untrue then, Stephen. That's
there you go. Yes. Yep.
you can have GPT speak to you through 11 Labs. So 11 Labs is 11labs.io is a speech synthesis tool that has an API where you can link GPT to it. So now GPT can speak to you.
Right, but you can't have intercourse, verbal intercourse with it. I don't think
Verbal
you can't be.
intercourse,
You can't have real intercourse. That's right. You can't do
Right. No, not intercourse in the sense of sex. I'm talking about like I can't do what I'm doing with you guys.
No,
With
you
it.
can't.
Yeah, see, and that's what I want, because one day when we can, we're going to have a show just with us and the AI, just for fun, because it'd be fun to say to an AI, what do you think about this social issue? And because it can pull from everywhere.
You can find interviews that's already happening in some.
I know the New York Times guy did that.
Yeah.
But we want to do that for our show, and then
that's coming down the pipe. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I know. That's going to be awesome. See, but that to me would be fun, because like even if I'm playing chess, because I play chess on like with a computer, it's fun. I enjoy it because it's like it gets you going. So I want to be able to speak to the AI. Like I read something, go, what do you think of yada yada yada, and just to hear what it thinks, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, because it's got that huge body of knowledge, different than any individual human could do.
Right. Yeah, I like it.
And get the freedom and the flexibility of remote work in the lucrative tech industry. Bend your life around the world. Bendicoot is the premier course and community for thriving in a remote tech career. Join the revolution today. Bendicoot.com, official partner of the Lost Dollar Business Club. And that's our cue. That's our cue, gentlemen.
To go to the next topic. What's our next topic?
Well, we've got metaverse falling out of favor.
Yes.
After a really gangbuster year last year, and then NFTs seemingly falling away. And I know that you guys have a lot to say about the NFT space.
Funny enough, I've just watched a film today with Nick Clegg, who's
I'm sorry, what's his name? One more time.
Nick Clegg, and he used to be
Nick Click. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Nick Clegg, and it's an accent thing, and he is the global communications director of Meta, and they seem to be they've toned down everything. I think as regards to the fun side or the entertainment side of the metaverse. And they're really pushing forwards in Asia in particular with the educational aspects of it. So that's the way that they're evolving the metaverse. So they're coming out of all the wacky stuff which we were all looking at a year ago. But so they haven't forgotten. I made a quote today before you guys. Was it the metaverse or the metahurst? But So Stephen,
here's how I look at the metaverse. Metaverse was great during the pandemic because we all wanted to think we were connected and go to a fake world, which is what we were doing at Noisy Panda World, and it's still around. NoisyPanda.com. No, anyway, NoisyPanda.world. Anyway, this is how the show spun off, and so you guys that don't know how the show started, that's recorded somewhere else. You can watch it. But anyway, so it's very cool. And it was interesting, but the technology still isn't there. The movements are still jerky. It's still not where it needs to go, and yada, yada, yada. The issue is, what are you going to do with it? Like we met a guy at South by Southwest a few years ago. They were selling the world, right? You could buy real estate in New York. And in cities were doing it. They were all getting, and I'm like, what the? I can buy my own house or apartment in the city for what you want to charge. Like he's like, oh, you can have it. I'm like, but why? But like I understand what you're doing.
That's the question.
But why? And like when people are saying I bought a $600,000 yacht in the metaverse, I'm like, moron. You can buy a $600,000 vessel for real. That's what I'm saying. So during COVID, I think everybody was like, oh my God, it's the end of the world, and they wanted to immerse themselves in something. So I think the metaverse is pulling back a little bit. I think in 5 or 10 years it'll be huge because AI and VR and AR will have it. With new quantum computing and whatnot, we'll have it where it's like you're in a room and you feel you're really doing something, like going to Disney World.
It generates things in real time. That's
right.
All of this content in a few years is going to be generated by AI in real time,
right.
at your whim or design.
Right. And I think then it's going to be cool. I don't think we're there yet. I haven't spoken to
But
many VCs and whatever.
do you think it's aimed at people of our age, and including Michael? No disrespect to you, Michael, because you're considerably younger than Stephen and I.
I think it's going to be aimed from people whether you're 5 years old or 105, because if you're, say you're 75 and you love to ski, but you're 75 and you don't want to, or you can't really afford to
Get
go to
insurance.
Vail, but right. But I can now ski Vail every day. I can now race a car every day. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think, yes, it'll still be a form of escapism, like reading a book. It'll just be a different form of escapism. As far as NFT goes, when we were doing stuff at Noisy Panda, what we did is we said, when an artist said, I'm going to sell an NFT, the thing out of our mouth was, do you have a hard piece of art? Do you doing polydigital? And they'd be like, why? I said, because when the NFT market dies, they need to have the physical art. And it did. And you need to have the physical art. And that was the most important thing. So a lot of the artists that did stuff with Noisy Panda had a physical piece of art and an NFT. So this way, if the NFT market went away, you still had, somebody's artwork on your wall that you could at some point sell or not sell. So I think what also killed the NFT market is it's the Wild West. There's no regulation. Not that there's a regulation in the art market, but kind of like FTX is the nail in the coffin right now, right? And all this stuff just dropped. And I think it's one of these things where, once again, there'll be a time and a place for it, not just now. The reason NFTs became so wonderful, in my opinion, during the COVID, so everybody knew what an NFT was before COVID. And then when COVID's happened, once no one had anything to do every day, you couldn't do this for 2 years, go out. What'd you do?
Yeah.
Bought NFTs. People bought supercars. People bought cars. People bought homes. Where I lived in Palm Beach, the guy bought the condo below me. When I met him, I go, I never saw you. He says, oh no, my broker did a video walkthrough for me. And I'm thinking, I would never buy a house, a condo, a car, anything like that. I mean, a pair of socks, I don't care, right? But something that's, a purchase item with lots of commas and zeros, no friggin' way. And I was like, okay, everybody teach their own, and that's what happened.
It's ironic because, again, there was a report, a UK report this morning about people. It's never been as busy as it is at this point in time on the high street in physical shops, because people are sort of, they've kind of had too much stuff from Alibaba or from wherever it's come from. You ordered a swimming pool. You want a small one. It's about 50 meters, and you can't get it in your garden. And you want a large one, and it's about 1.5 feet. So but the photos look great. So people have kind of wised up to that a bit, and I think people want to go back to going back to that physical aspect of it. So even with the NFTs with Noisy Panda, it was so important to persuade the artists themselves. Look, this is another way of getting money, another form of income, the NFT. But please don't forget that your painting is equally as important. And we were kind of swimming against the tide a bit then, because everybody, just wanted to buy a monkey, and they did, yes. And like I said this morning to you all, dropped a dead monkey. I mean, yeah.
Do you think there's so then what you're saying is there's a greater appreciation for what's in the physical world after coming out of COVID and after getting past the initial excitement of and almost hype around metaverse and NFTs? And
I think people of a certain age had forgotten. I think younger people are still. I mean, like the teenagers, people up to 5 and 25, are still really excited about everything digital fashion of NFTs or. I think that that still floats their boat more than maybe the age group above them. But the age group above them, up to 35, 45, the people who've got a little bit of money, because probably the demographic of it all. So, but they're the ones who now want to go out again and look in the shops and feel it, and because there is something still quite nice about feeling something in a shop. A jumper or something, as opposed to the only excitement you get is ripping open the package, is it not? I ordered that, yeah. Oh, I like the color. Wear that. So I think that's the thing that's driving it. And again, artists, they still seem to have NFT is still a dirty word for a lot of artists. And now, of course, the whole art world's been sort of almost hijacked by AI art. So,
right. I know that's the other
yeah.
side of it. Do you think digital natives? So you're really making the distinction of digital natives versus people who didn't have digital technology when they were growing up, which includes myself. I didn't have much technology when I was growing up. Certainly no smartphones or really much of the internet. But the concept of digital natives, is that where we're really seeing? Is that the distinction that we're going to have to make going forward? People who just naturally, having grown up with only the digital space, how are we going to? Are they going to come out and go into the real world, or are they going to stay in the mostly digital space? I suspect that people will come into the real world, but I think that is yet to be seen.
I'm not so sure. Again, there are two aspects to it. Of course, one is the money side of it, but yeah, the other thing is, well, I had this discussion yesterday with Annette. There's a whole generation of young people, 13 to 16-year-olds, who were locked in the formative, physically locked into the houses in the formative years of their life. I mean, I know what I was doing when I was 13. Climbing trees, falling out of trees. Doing all sorts of outdoor stuff, riding bikes. So they've kind of missed out on that anyway. They don't have a thirst for it, and if the only let's say refreshing form of entertainment is digital, then they're going to be drawn towards that more than the physical, I think. So yeah, so you have things like, oh well, you can now get on your bike and go somewhere. Really?
Kids don't do that though. I don't see kids on their bike. See, when I was growing up, you played.
You're talking about Holland too, because everybody's on a bike here, Steve.
Yeah, see, in America, kids don't play outside anymore. When I was a kid, you'd come home from school, you would play stickball, or you'd ride your bike, or you'd go to the park, and you would do all that cool stuff. Even the cats agreeing with me. So you would do all that.
My cats agreeing with me as well.
All the kids come home and they're like, "Oh," I'm like, it's like, what do you? They get on their computer. They don't do anything. And then I'll go like to my stepson. I'll say, "So what did you do in PE today?" Oh, like they'll see. I'm like, no, really, what did you do? Like, they don't teach him how to play football, meaning soccer. They don't teach him how to play football. They don't teach them how to play baseball. They don't teach them volleyball. They teach them nothing. Like when I was a kid, you did that Presidential Fitness Award thing that week. Yeah. We got to get the patch for the President's Fitness Award, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, "You be good, do this." So they don't do that anymore. So what's happening is computers enhance, and NFTs and all that enhance. But if we don't teach our kids to go out and enjoy, it doesn't matter. Like, you can collect NFTs. I think it's great. It's like baseball cards when we were a kid. Yeah. But I interacted. I'd go to my buddy's house, or we'd sit outside, and we'd be like, "I've got this guy," or "I got this guy," and you would trade baseball cards. And you could do that with an NFT, but it was a social interaction. And that's the other part of all of this, is there's no more social, if you will, social intercourse, social interaction. People do not know how to interact at all.
That's right. That's true. Very true. And
online games.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. And of course, you touched upon that, Michael, didn't you, in your introduction about greed? Was it greedflation?
Greedflation.
Yeah. So there's a whole group of very, very greedy people who own all this digital space, and they have no desire for you to be anywhere other than behind some smartphone or a computer or a play console when and consuming all this. That's where they want you to be. So, yeah.
That's a. I think you see that from the focus at Meta, formerly Facebook. I mean, all their executives are focused on how to make money and how to get traction again in the metaverse concept. But there's a social cost that we've talked about many times on this show of mediating all human relationships through the screen. There's something lost in that, and I think that even young digital natives know that intuitively. if not actually.
I agree.
No, I can't agree with you, gentlemen, on that. I honestly think there's a generation of people who have, are so protected by the fact that they have this smartphone in front of them. It's almost, it's like, you remember when your kids were really small, you gave them comfort blankets, or they had that comfort toy,
No.
This is what the phone. This is what the phone is. It's a comfort toy.
No, the phone is a
Intellectual comfort
babysitter.
toy.
It's because the parents don't want to be parents, which we
That's
talked
a
about
problem, though.
on
That's a
Sermon
big
from the
problem.
German of that show, is that parents don't parent their children anymore. It's like, here's an iPad, here's a laptop, here's your phone. That's kind of what AI is as well, right? Here's this, and that's your parent. And the problem is that parents aren't being parents. It's like they let the little thing do it. So I'm more of go outside, go break your arm or your leg, go climb a tree, go to the park, go do the, like be a kid. So a lot of these kids now are just fat and lazy. They may have stuff up here, but physically it's like, and they talk about it's obesity
Even
because
among
they don't
kids.
do anything. They sit home and they go typey, 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 typey. Oh, I hurt my hand. I'm like, let's go and play, get some sun, So it's
a call to all parents listening to this show. Get your kids playing outside. Get your kids playing with other kids in real life.
Something. If you like the Lost Dollar Business Club, you should subscribe. If you like it that much, you should also tell a friend of yours. So you should subscribe and like. Also, you should put comments below so we know what you're thinking. Tell us what shows you want to hear. Just help us make it better.
So who's lost $1 this week? And who's found $1 this week?
Hey, before we do that, we didn't get into greedflation, though, did we?
We
Or
didn't
we
get
talk
into
about
too much into greedflation, but let's do some more. I'll do some more study on that and then bring it up next week because I'm sure inflation is not going anywhere. Not anytime soon.
Okay, so we're doing down, huh?
Yeah, well, maybe there's some greedy people out there, Stephen. So I don't know how much greed or how many dollars have you seen or have you seen lost this week?
I mean, we've made money this week. Listen, I'm the overlord. We always make money. So it's funny. I remember when I was at university, I forgot what it was. It could have been a war breaking out or a famine or some funny thing like that. And my buddy goes, "Oh my God, it's terrible. People are going to lose money." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, "No, we're making money because it's just you bet against it." The perfect analogy. And you can go. Unfortunately, we can't play it here because it's on YouTube. Even though there's a television series called Taxi, started Danny DeVito, Judd Hirsch, and everything. There's a thing: if you punch in people, Danny DeVito as a stockbroker or Louis De Palma as a stockbroker at Taxi. There's a scene in this thing where he becomes a stockbroker. He's on the phone. It's 7 minutes long, but it's hysterical, all from start to finish. But there's this 30 seconds. This is the first introduction I ever had to where I was at. There's this 30-second scene and he's on the phone with a lady and he says, "Mrs. Smith," he says, "there's this really great biotech stock you should buy. You could be really rich, yada, yada, yada." He goes through this whole spiel and he says, I know you have an ethical problem with it. Like if the disease breaks out and kills half the population. He says, but just think if you're on the other side of the population that's alive, do you want to be rich? So, there's always that kind of an attitude. So yeah, so this week, the greedflation, it's been around forever, baby. Greed is good. However, it's always going to be like that. This ESG crap is crap.
There's a level of extremism though in what's happening now. I think it's more extreme
I think it's been that way from day one. If you look at the Rockefellers, if you look at the Vanderbilts, but what they did, which was different, they were greedy, but they gave back. They built institutions and they did things where now no one's building an institution, right? They're keeping it all for themselves, like it's mine.
So can we just concentrate then on? So it's just greed in general for you this week, then, Stephen? So greed is the number one.
No,
The
you
number
guys
one
talked about,
thing.
you guys sent me an article on greedflation, and I was like, "Ooh, I like it. I'm excited about
Making a lot of
it.
money.
Greed is good." Yeah. So yeah,
greed
no,
is
I'm all
good.
good with
Greed
it.
is good. Okay. Okay.
But you
There
got to
we
give
go.
back. Greed is good. You still have to give back. And I
It's
mean,
too
yeah,
it's too late for
it's
that
good.
now, Steve. It's too late for
Oh,
that.
well, then
Mike,
screw it. I'll
what
crush all
have
the
you seen?
little
What have
people.
you seen around
Oh boy,
this week?
I mean, I'm a little behind the curve, but I just happened to come across all of the different APIs that OpenAI has because I was looking at how that connects to 11 Labs, and so the API space for now how artificial intelligence programs are speaking to each other, I think that's a huge win because they're charging 3 cents or a third of a cent, depending on which API you're using, but they're charging money for every word that's being processed by the AI. So it's a good model. It seems like very reasonable rates, and I think they're making good money on it.
So that, David, would be a cash register sound.
Yeah. Well, it would appear so. Yeah.
Oh, cash register. Yeah.
Where's the cash register sound? Where's the baboon?
Yeah, that's the cash. Well, we haven't had one because you've been up for greed, and
He's talking about
just
AI being good.
Yeah, well, that was a cash register sound for AI. So
I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't hear it?
You didn't hear it?
No.
You didn't hear it? Do we got to do that again for you? Is this an age? Is this an age thing, Stephen?
Oh, now I heard it. Sure, because before, you know.
Yeah.
Trick the old guy. Thanks a lot. So
Yeah.
You got an old fart in your name, so
there you go.
Yeah.
What did you find out this week, David? What's good, bad, or
well, yeah. I mean, normally what seems to have happened in these last couple of weeks since we've been playing around with this stuff is it's mostly been food related, but I found something which was non-food related. So, and basically what it was is it would appear that companies like Nokia are now back in fashion. I mean, obviously the name's been sold 2 or 3 times on, but it now appears that the growth market in mobile telephones are dumb phones. So these are non-smartphones. So these are a lot of people saying, "Yeah, I'm doing it because I want to wean myself off, having the smartphone always on." But it seems to be like the hip thing, and there's loads of countries all over the world who don't offer a smartphone function. And evidently the figures are that it's still a quarter of the mobile phones globally are technically dumb phones.
So, and you know what's funny? 100% of the people 95% of the people that use these phones are just dumb people. So there you go.
Are they
So for me, that's that's money in the bank, because all the molding's done, all the technology's done. They just dust it out, put it into another.
Steam molding is 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. They just dust it off, put it into a nice bit of packaging. Say, make it hip and trendy to have. I don't worry about my new, smartphone with every whistle and bell. This doesn't even whistle. They don't have a bell.
I don't know.
A lot of people don't have like an iPhone, if you will, or whatever the equivalent is with everybody else, because they want to be disconnected.
Dinosaurs.
Doesn't that
they want to be dinosaurs?
Disadvantage?
Yeah, they want to be disconnected.
Yeah,
disadvantage.
Yeah.
No, I think this is a real choice. I mean, there's the big push as well. People saying, if your kids want a phone, and then you say, you're too young to have a smartphone, you can give them a dumb phone and say, look, guys, this is there just in emergency. We can get you. You can get us. You can text on it. You can, or SMS. And then that's a very functional piece of kit.
Do they still have emojis on these phones?
Yeah. Well, no, but you have to flip it up. So if you want to go to A, like you got to push the one button, like to go to C, like 1, 2, 3 to C. So it takes forever to type. But they have a little emoji thing you can click on the bottom. But it's like There's like 6 of them, and then that's about it. So,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I do know people that don't want to have like everything at their fingertip,
Yeah.
and that they're very content. It's like it's just a phone. When I'm at the office or house, I can read my email, and I applaud them. My wife gets mad at me. Like my phone is always off. Like the ring, I never know if someone's calling. I have to look at the phone. When we're out to dinner, I don't check my email. I don't read any. It's there. I mostly just have it like, like friends are like, I could go with an old fashioned flip phone and it would just do me just as good. Now there are sometimes where I'm like sitting and waiting for somebody. I'm like, oh, okay, I can read some stuff or check emails. But really at the end of the day, I like my stuff. But I do. But I find that if I use my phone and I send you an email or a text, which you guys know, I speak into it and I speak very quickly. So I may say I'm going to be running 15 minutes late, and it basically says I've molested a border collie. So it doesn't work for me sometimes.
Brilliant speech to text.
Yes.
Brilliant speech recognition.
Yeah. So it is kind of fun sometimes when things happen. So it is what it is. We have a good time with it. But
yeah. So let's say that was and the article I read about it is
we had wins all around today.
Yeah. The article was actually called "The Rise of the Dumb Phones," which I thought was rather clever.
I like it.
So and the fastest growing phones in the US at the moment, according to
nice
to the report. So just it's strange, isn't it? Because all of a sudden, we couldn't wait to get rid of them. And I think if you want to be if all these kids that are listening to this, if you want to be super trendy, just open up one of the drawers just open up one of the drawers in the house somewhere by your dad's drawer, your mum's drawer. There'll be a dumb phone in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
There
you go.
So we're done. That's it. Right. That's the show. Everybody have a wonderful week. We'll see you guys next Saturday. The show comes out every Saturday at 7 a.m. Eastern time on podcast. It comes out 7 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. It comes out 7 a.m. Eastern on Facebook. Wow, we're everywhere. And it comes out in places I don't even know where it comes out. So don't forget to subscribe and like.
Let's do it. Headbanging rock out.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I don't even think anybody stays for this part, but then they miss the very end stuff, which is really cool.
That's right.
Which is this.